Hi, I'm Tom Laux, Communications Director for the City of Marshall. Thank you for joining me. Today we're switching seats on the show with Don Nystrom, and Don is going to be coming as IRS agent, which he had done in his previous career. Thanks, Don, for coming. And we're going to go over stuff about the economic impact payments. And that's really important as it has to do with the coronavirus that has affected all of us in the nation. Well, I'm going to read something here that Don prepared for me, and then we're going to get right into asking him some questions, and hopefully it'll help you guys that are watching us here on public access television as well as YouTube or Facebook information that would be really good for you guys to know. Well, very soon, again, I said these economic payments are going to be coming out to qualified citizens of the United States, and you have to be, you are eligible, I should say, if you filed your taxes in 2018 and 2019. The payments will not go out all at the same time, and thus this may be confusion and cause some anxiety. There's a lot of anxiety out there now, and just want to give you some better tips here. And there will likely be scammers. We all know there's scammers out there, and they try to take advantage of people. And we want to provide some tips that if you do hear somebody that may call you or something in the mail, Don's going to show us or tell us, I should say, some of these things to be looking out for. The IRS has stated that they'll be not making phone calls to anyone regarding these payments. So if you get a phone call regarding these payments, hang up. It doesn't exist. So otherwise, turn it into your local law enforcement agency as well. They'll help here if you're getting this through the cable systems. Phone call asking you for your bank account information or Social Security, again, scam. Don't do it. Don't say a thing, and that's really important. Just hang up and don't engage in the call, or is what Don here has wrote for me. As a service to our viewers, we're providing you all this current information about the payments. The information will be in the form of questions that I'm going to be doing and answers taken from the IRS website that Don researched here earlier before this program. We know some citizens, and especially seniors, don't have access to the internet, and a lot of that stuff is on the website. So we want to bring that to you here. And this information is current. It's Friday, April 3rd right now. And things do change, but why not? Let's begin, Don, and get right into it here. They're calling this economic impact payments. It's very important, as you told me before. What is the latest information regards to checks from the IRS? Can you tell me a little bit about what people could see and know from your point of view?
Well, I think this is very important to a lot of people, because obviously there's a lot of folks that are having hard times right now, as we all know, because of the coronavirus. And the government has authorized the substantial payments to just about everyone, and we'll clarify who everyone is, unless you're really, really high income. But a lot of people will be getting checks or direct deposits, and I'm going to go through a little bit about that. But the important thing is that this is going to be happening very soon. And at the end of the program, we are going to talk about how to avoid being scammed and how to let your neighbors know that this might be possible, because sometimes the grapevine is not too reliable. So this is not from the horse's mouth, but from the IRS website, the information that I'm going to give you. So let's just start with eligibility. To be eligible for one of these impact payments, the tax filers with adjusted gross income of $75,000 for an individual, or up to $150,000 for a married couple filing joint returns, of course, will receive the full payment. For filers with income above those amounts, the payments are reduced by $5 for every $100 above that $75,150 threshold. Single filers with incomes exceeding $99,000 or $198 for joints with no children are actually not eligible. Social Security recipients and railroad retirees who are otherwise not required to file a tax return are also eligible and they will not be required to file a return. Now, the eligible taxpayers who filed tax returns in either 2019 or 2018 will automatically receive the economic impact payment of up to $1,200 for individuals or $24,000 for married couples and up to $500 for each qualified child. So this is what many people will get: $1,200 if they're single, widowed, divorced, etc., or $2,400 if they're married, and up to $500. So it's very helpful, I think, to many people to get that amount.
Yeah, definitely in this time, Don, that this will help, and it should be coming out in the next 2 weeks,
Right.
hopefully. And I guess how does the IRS know where to send this, and how are they going to get it?
Yeah, actually, we have already furnished that information to them as a taxpayer because the vast majority of people don't really have to do a thing. The IRS will calculate and automatically send the payments to those that are eligible. For people that filed their 2019 tax returns, the IRS will use the information on that return to calculate the payment amount. For those who have not filed yet for the 2019, the IRS will use information from the 2018. And a lot of people haven't filed because I'm sure some of the accountants slowed down when the time to file has been extended until I think July something, because obviously it's a service organization. And so if you haven't filed for 2019, doesn't matter as long as you file for 2018, and they're going to use the information on there. Now, we're going to talk about direct deposits. If you have a direct deposit of a refund check, if in fact you get one, if fortunate enough to get one, you don't need to really do anything because it's going to go into your checking account. But if you don't have that information on your tax return, they will be sending a check. And that's why when you mentioned earlier, they're not all going out at the same time, because if it's a check, it's obviously going to have to go through the check printer and then get mailed out and so forth. But
Yeah, that's definitely always a delay, Don. It's nice now that when we do our regular taxes, it's pretty quick. It goes
if
right
you
into
get a
the account.
refund, but
Yeah. Well, I'm still there yet.
yeah, well, fortunately, with the tax changes last year, it's a lot simpler for people. You know, that the amount that they use from your tax return to determine the amount you're going to get is based on your adjusted gross income. Now, that's not the same as your total income. It's your adjusted. So if you want to look at your tax return to see if you qualify under the 75 or 150, you got to look at for the line on the return I file, which is a simple form. I think it's 8B, line 8B. So
Okay.
it's that's the one you're going to look. But in the event that, as you said, that there isn't a direct deposit number on the return because you unfortunately owed money rather than get money, there is a way to still get a direct deposit. And because in the near future, the Treasury Department plans to develop a web-based portal for individuals to provide their banking information to the IRS online, so that individuals that want to get their money as quickly as they can, rather than wait for the check, they can go on this website that they will be put up so that individuals can receive their payments immediately as opposed to waiting in the mail. Now, that's, we're aware that a lot of people don't have internet, and not a lot of people, most do, but some don't, especially the elderly. A lot of them are not wired, if you will. So what I would suggest is that they have a trusted family member that would go in with them and put that up, because then Grandma can get her check as soon as some of the neighbors have gotten their checks. So that's not up yet, but if you go on the IRS website, which is simply irs.gov, G-O-V, irs.gov, there will be a place on that website, and it's very good. That's where a lot of this information was gathered. And they will tell you how to do it. When I looked last night, it wasn't up yet, but they said it will be up shortly.
Oh.
So it would be worth your while if you have an interest in getting the economic impact payment
Yeah.
quickly to go in and sign up.
I think it's great information that you can do that. I was not aware of that, Don, and I would bet a lot of people aren't either, that this website will hopefully be up, coming up shortly.
Very soon.
Let's talk about people that don't file. What do you do?
All right, even if you don't have to file a return, and some don't, and the volunteer work that I did for ARP and the group of people that do volunteer tax work for them, there were a lot of people that don't have to file tax returns. Fortunately, in Wisconsin, a lot of people claim the homestead tax credit, and to do that, they have to file a tax return even if they don't owe any money. So those people are going to be okay. But even if you haven't, the IRS will use the information on the Social Security form or the railroad retirement form. Is called the SSA 1099, and the railroad one is RRB 1099. They'll use that to generate the economic impact payment to recipients reflected on those forms. Now, that's the one that you get in the mail in early February, late January. It's got a little pink box on it, so this is your Social Security that you got during the year. And that's how they're going to determine, because if your Social Security check goes into the bank, direct deposit, you're good, because that's what they're going to use to send out your check, so you don't have to file a tax return if you don't need to file a tax return, and everything will just come along just fine.
Okay, that helps. So
they have the information, and hopefully if you changed your address, you would have somehow or another notified the post office.
Right. So, yeah, and this website, you can also go to that to tell people here, you know, I have a tax filing obligation, but have not filed my tax return either in 2018 or 2019. You're saying that you can still get the payment?
Yes, you can. The IRS urges anyone that with a tax filing obligation that has not filed a return for 18 or 19 to file as soon as they can to receive the payment. Now, that's going to be on the taxpayer's shoulders, so if you haven't filed, I'm sorry. I mean, if you're required to file. Taxpayers should include the direct deposit banking information on the return. So I would imagine that that would probably include people who have an obligation and they didn't want to file, and sooner or later the IRS would catch up with them. Anyway,
right.
You might as well get it over with, and even if you haven't got the cash to pay what you owe, send it in anyway. Yeah, within a period of time, you will get a letter from the IRS saying, oh, by the way, thanks for filing your return, but we need to have you pay it too. So,
right.
So that's important.
All right. Well, how about if you need to file a tax return, how long are the payments still going to be available yet?
They are saying right now through the rest of this year. So if you get around to it in August or September, but I assume most people would be happy to get their checks and their direct deposits sooner than later, because there may be another one coming. Who knows what Congress is going to do? I mean,
yeah, it all depends on how long this stays in the United States in the area and kind of what they've done. It's really hurting local business, and people are losing their, I don't want to say losing their jobs or laid off or furloughs.
Furloughs, yeah.
Yeah,
There's
so,
a lot of that, yeah.
yeah. Well, where can anybody get more information regarding what we just talked about?
Not from your neighbor. That's not the place to get it. You or someone you know and trust that is computer literate and has internet should go to irs.gov/coronavirus as soon as it becomes available. And it is irs.gov. If you go there now, it'll have a header that says information on coronavirus as soon it will soon be up. That's what it says. So come back. I check it every morning to see if anything has changed, if they post any information. But that is the source. That is where you want to get your information from. And there's going to be some issues. For example, college students may or may not qualify. And you have situations I can foresee where there's been a marriage separation, a divorce, or a split up of some kind, and the checks go here and they should be there. There's going to be a reason, but the one thing you probably don't want to do is to call the IRS. They, like many other businesses, are short on help. They're working from home in many cases, and you would be on the line for probably 30 days before you actually got a live operator. They will probably give you a message saying, I'm sorry, but our lines are busy, call back later, and later, and later, and later. So the best place to go is to the irs.gov/coronavirus, and I do it on a regular basis.
Yeah, and like you said, have a family member help that you trust if you don't have the internet available. There's no way we can do it yet. Well, maybe a smart TV, but you still need the internet, unfortunately.
Yes, you do. And previously you could go to the library.
Yeah.
And some of those nice people that work there would help you, but unfortunately that's shut down.
They're closed.
You don't want to go up to a public place like a department store and fiddle around there.
Right. They're really trying to only important errands, I should say.
Yeah.
Grocery store once a week, try to do it all at once.
Right.
Well, this is a good chance to just turn our gears to scamming.
Oh, bad things that people do.
Yeah, and it's happened, and it usually happens when there is something bad happening. It could be storms and stuff, you hear it all the time. But now it's coronavirus. Can you tell me what not to fall? There are tricks?
And this is why I'd asked you to invite me.
Yes.
Because I think it's just a terrible thing that there are criminals out there that are going to try to take money from people who really don't have a lot of money. And I think that it's a shameful thing, and what I would like to avoid happening is a grandma or a grandpa, especially seniors, who are trusting people, generally speaking.
Yeah, definitely, and they can do it in many ways,
Right.
phone or whatever. So I'll let you kind of go over this.
Well, I'm glad you asked, because this is an official document from that irs.gov website, and they have really information that is very comprehensive. So if the viewers don't mind, I'm just going to read it because this is official. All right. This information was put out 2 days ago by the IRS. It says the Internal Revenue Service today urged taxpayers to be on the lookout for a surge of calls and email phishing attempts about the coronavirus, or otherwise known as COVID-19. These contacts can lead to tax-related fraud and identity theft. Quote, we urge people to take extra care during this period. The IRS isn't going to call you asking to verify or provide your financial information so that you can get your economic impact payment or get your refund faster, said IRS Commissioner Chuck Reddick. This also applies to surprise emails that appear to be coming from the IRS. Remember, don't open them or click on an attachment or links. Go to irs.gov for the most up-to-date information. Do not click on an email, because the government isn't going to send information for you by phone or by email. Taxpayers should watch out not only for emails, but for text messages, websites, and social media attempts that request money or personal information. History has shown that criminals take every opportunity to perpetrate a fraud on unsuspecting victims, especially as you mentioned, when a group of people is vulnerable or in a state of need, says the commissioner. While you are waiting to hear about economic payments, economic impact payments, criminals are working hard to trick you into getting their hands on your money or your identity. The IRS Criminal Division is working hard to find these scammers and shut them down, but in the meantime, we ask people to remain vigilant. Now, the IRS and Criminal Division have seen a wave of new and evolving phishing schemes against taxpayers. In most cases, the IRS is going to deposit economic impact payments into your direct deposit account. Taxpayers previously provided, the information has previously been provided by you on tax returns. The taxpayers who have previously filed but not provided direct deposit information will be able to, as we mentioned earlier, to put their banking account online in a newly designed portal on the web. And we talked about that earlier. If the IRS does not have direct deposit information, a check will be mailed to the address on file. Taxpayers should not provide their direct deposit or banking information to others other than on their behalf. So don't ask somebody to do it for you unless it's a trusted friend or neighbor that you trust. The IRS reminds retirees who normally have a requirement to file a tax return and they take no action on their part because nothing is needed to receive their $1,200 economic impact payment. Seniors should be especially careful during this period. The IRS reminds retirees, including recipients of the Social Security Form 1099 that we talked about, that no one from the agency will be reaching out to them by phone, by email, or by mail asking for any kind of information to complete their economic impact payments, also sometimes called rebates or stimulus payments. The IRS is sending those payments automatically to retirees. No additional action or information is needed on the retiree's part to get your payment. It will come automatically. The IRS reminds taxpayers that scammers might emphasize the word stimulus checks or stimulus payment. The official term is economic impact payment, not stimulus payment, not stimulus check. Economic impact payment. Now, lastly, ask the scammers will sometimes ask the taxpayer to sign over their payment check. Don't do that. Ask by phone or mail or text or social media for verification. You don't need to do that either. Sometimes they will suggest that you can get your payment quicker if you just help them, by giving additional information. And sometimes they will mail a bogus check, perhaps an odd amount, and ask the taxpayer to call a number to verify the information. It might look like it's coming from government, it isn't. So those are things to be aware of, and particularly, we didn't refer to this $1,200 payment as the stimulus payment. It's not. It's not. It's the impact payment, economic impact payment. So if you hear it, and just probably one more word of caution, and Tom, you know this too, if you get a suspicious email saying you have won the lottery, get a lot of those, and if you complete this form, we'll send you $50, all this kind of stuff. The temptation is when you get something that obviously is, and won't be anything from the government, but might look like it's from your bank or from some organization, the temptation is to unsubscribe, and if you do that, that's phishing. You're going to end up getting bombed with additional scam mails. They keep track. It might take you to a site. When you say unsubscribe, you think, okay, I don't want to get this anymore, and you hit the unsubscribe button, bingo, bing, 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 all of a sudden you get all kinds of pop-ups.
Oh, no.
And they let the other people of that nature know that it's a live person there. It's not a dead email address because they tried to unsubscribe. So let's send them some more. So that's one of the tips is when you get stuff that you don't want to get anymore, just delete it.
Yeah.
The same thing if somebody calls you and they're going to help you with this economic impact payment, you don't even want to start talking to them because they are good talkers. They practice and practice and practice, and they're smooth operators, and they'll sound so nice. I mean, I almost got trapped once when I tried to get service on a product I had bought. And then I said, wait a minute. I have a $20 product. I'm looking for information on it. And all of a sudden, they're carrying on a conversation. I said, wait a minute. They don't do that anymore.
Not anymore. It's...
You don't get real people.
No, you don't. So it's really important. Do you think they really go after the elderly?
Well, because as a member of that group, we tend to trust people.
Yeah.
And they can be so nice. It's just a nice man, you know. I mean, that's why they do it, because the older generation grew up in a different environment.
Right, and nobody's coming to a door.
No.
So if anyone comes to their door here locally,
yeah.
No turmoil.
In fact, the census takers aren't even coming anymore.
Right, that's right.
Because of the virus thing. They said, we'd like to know, but you know, if people are at a disadvantage now if they don't have the internet. And a lot of people are nervous about using it. They're afraid that something might happen. So you really need, if you can't use the computer yourself and go on the IRS website, we'd encourage to ask your family member.
Yes, definitely.
To help you out, or a trusted neighbor.
Yep.
You know, many years I helped a neighbor.
Well, you've seen things like this. You were a past IRS agent a while back, and you've been in the economic world for your career.
Yeah.
So you know what it's about, and you've seen it, and that's why we had you, and we switched gears, and this is very good information. Hopefully everybody that's watching is reviewing this. Please share this out to your friends and family. I think that's more so important right now, because money's going to be scarce no matter what, and the government is hoping to help us out.
We just don't want anybody to get ripped off.
Yep.
And you know, I know how it works, having a business career, that things get twisted up real easily.
Yep, and they won't give it back to you either. There's a one-time deal here on this, unless they have another economic impact payment down the road we don't know, possibly.
This is our money coming back to us. This is taxpayer money. That's where the government gets it from. They get it from you and I.
Right.
They spend it. Sometimes they spend it wisely, sometimes not so wisely.
Right, yeah.
But we're getting some of it back in an effort to help people. And that's what this country's mission is right now, is to help people from getting the virus, to help people, if they can financially, to get their jobs back, and to get treated for this terrible, terrible virus. So
yeah, definitely.
I thank you very much for inviting me out here. We'd like to spread the word, as you mentioned. So if this is directly from the IRS website, it's not my opinion, this is fact. So thank you for inviting me.
Alrighty, thanks Don for coming. Again, www.irs.gov is where you can get this information that Don had shared. It's a great place to maybe just look a little bit more if you want to know a little bit more information, and we'll leave you with that. I want to thank again Don for coming, and thank you guys for watching us on Marshfield Media Access.